On the bottom, since whoops, battery fell out. Hello folks, and welcome to Netcruzer RC. Well, today is the day that I finally finish the Tekno EB410, and it's gonna go racing tonight. In the last video, I made a build tips episode, and this will be build tips part 2, final assembly, getting it ready to race. So let's go over that now. Alright guys, so excuse the state of my bench, but I am in a rush to get this done because this needs to be racing in about 1 hour from now. Let's just go over where we're at, because I got a couple things to tell you that I did over the final build process, and I did have an error, technical error with an SD card while doing it, so I don't have any of the actual finishing it footage. I'm just going to have to give an overview of it now. First of all, I did paint my body shell. Let me just get that off. It is Velcroed along the 4 sides. Okay, wow. Quick tip on the body shell. If you want it to look a bit more airy, I did add those rear windows. These are not normal. Anyway, that's just the design decision that I made, as well as I'm still using the Gorilla Tape clear on the inside of my bodies for body protection. I don't know if you can see it because it comes out clear, but yeah, it just helps with the scratches and stuff. Might as well get into that first of all, because there is something that I saw will scratch right away, and that's the servo mount washers. Those metal washers stick out past the edge, and they will scratch the crap out of the inside of your body. So what I did was I put on some extra layers of tape on this section here. Actually, this is a piece of protection film that I'll show you in a minute once I get showing you the underside, and all the rest is Gorilla Tape clear, just for extra reinforcement and to protect the paint, because as this goes on and off, it's got the Velcro strips, and you're torquing on it a lot. Like you're having to pull up on this little tab a lot to get it on and off. So anyway, extra protection is worth it, because this body will likely rip over time as you rip it on, rip it off. When you last saw this, it was just an empty chassis and it didn't have the shocks on it. So now the shocks are done. Right now the shocks are pretty much completely stock. It's got some unique features, like the bottom of the spring cups are captured with a screw so they can never come off, and they use the emulsion style caps where there's a little emulsion screw right there on the edge, and you're supposed to bleed them that way. But there is a design flaw with these shocks, and that is how the bottom of them is built. In this bottom section, in the cartridge area, you have 2 O-rings stacked on top of each other, and there's nothing except for one little piece of Delrin on top, and there's nothing in between these pieces of O-ring. So every time the shaft goes up and down, it's essentially turning those 2 pieces of O-ring into an air pump. And so mine is still currently set up that way, and even with bleeding it a bunch of times, I don't know, it's still got that little bit of a squeak, like it has some air in them still. And Tekno actually recommends that you bleed these after every single run. How ridiculous is that? I will not be doing that. There is an MIP upgrade for that, so I'm going to be getting the MIP shock cartridge inserts, as well as when I do that change, then I'll put on the aluminum shock caps, because the other really annoying thing about these shocks, even though they are really big, really beefy, nicely designed for a 10 scale, these shock caps are surprisingly crap. I really don't like the shock caps. I've never had so much trouble putting on a shock cap on a threaded aluminum body in my whole life. Even when you do the trick of reverse it until you feel the threads catch and then try and spin it on, it's really hard. It's made such, I mean, it's hard to do to get it on right without cross-threading it, because it's such a weak and malleable plastic. So I am going to ditch those. I got a whole bunch of upgrade parts for later on, but these are the aluminum shock caps. And then when you switch to the aluminum shock caps, you need to change the emulsion screw as well to this type. And then the little wee O-rings, my local supplier couldn't get the little O-rings, so I'm either just going to recycle the ones that they come with or buy new ones from elsewhere. So that was the shocks. Other than those 2 like nitpicky things, the rest of the build went surprisingly well. I really don't have any other bad things to say about it, but there's a couple of, as I said, build tips that I want to show you. After the shocks, then comes the put in the electronics. Now for the electronics, I went with a Savox SC1258 titanium gear servo. And the issue with the EB410 is just how tight everything is. You have very little room to play. So instead of cutting any wires, all inside of the servo mount, there is room on this side to basically stack in the wire, like weave it in. So I have a bunch of the extra wire coming out, under, weaved in, and back across. And it comes out, and this is my receiver. The receiver is sitting on its side because that's the only way you can get enough room. And then I've got my ESC, and the ESC is also very tight in there because it's got the cap pack. Now, depending on how your ESC is set up, you may or may not have a cap pack, or it may have longer leads. It is nice if you have a bit longer lead on your cap pack where it could sit in under this area back here where there's nothing, but mine did not reach. So I had to tuck it in along the side there. And then all the rest of my wires are basically spooled up in here. You know, it's kind of clean. You can't really see it all too bad. There's certainly cleaner that you can get, but I just wanted to show you that. My transponder is tucked in under here, right under, you can probably see it there under, that's that little silvery piece that's shimmering down on the bottom there. That's my MRT PTX transponder, and it has a long wire on it too. So I just wound it around the servo lead and plugged it in. And then my antenna wire, I've got looped around, and just this is my little antenna here. ESC, I'm using a Toro TS120 competition ESC that I had in my Durango. I took it out and put it in this because this is a performance ESC that I can tune in whatever way I want with this program box. Although right now it's still set on blinky mode, so I do have to deal with that. I'm using a 5.0 turn Aries Pro competition, again from Sky RC. So I like those motors a lot. I have quite a few of them now, and I've got them in all my race rigs pretty much, except for one or two others. So yeah, Sky RC is running my motor and my ESC, as well as I use a Sky RC charger, and I've never had any problems with them. You know, I like them so much that I'm willing to put them on my front windshield of my car. So yeah, check out Sky RC if you're interested in some cheap motors, because these are like $60 Canadian, and I've never had a problem with those. I'm using an aluminum servo horn. That is an upgrade. The aluminum servo horn does not come stock. The other not stock part is this carbon fiber brace. So when you if you saw part 1, I told you that I had the plastic piece in place temporarily, and this is the carbon option. Now, after you do the electronics assembly, it's time to add on the wing. And there was something I wanted to tell you about the wing, which was when you're putting the screws into the wing mount, it's better to pre-screw it in first without a wing or anything. Just put the screw into the wing mount first, so it'll essentially thread it for you. So do that before you are trying to keep this all aligned and trying to make threads while you're putting the wing on. It's better to put the screw in first, make the threads, then put the wing on. The other thing is this wing is so thick, when you have to cut out here, it actually broke my Lexan scissors. Yeah, I broke an arm on my Lexan scissors because they were so hard to cut. Now, one other upgrade I did beside the carbon fiber center diff chassis brace is I did install an Exotech front bulkhead saver, and that's this piece here. And I mentioned in the previous video that you want to run 20mm screws in the top. That's true, but this actually extends the metal so that it's double the width here and gives you longer screws for the bottom. And this just sandwiches this whole shock tower to diff assembly to get together much better to avoid breaking the top of your bulkhead. Because this is a first batch car, and the first batch car had the weakest diff housings, as well as has weak hinge pins and a couple of other weak parts that have been silently upgraded by Tekno in the latest builds, in the latest kits. So something like that could save me a break, and it's a, you know, a $15 part. I got it from Grumpy's RC Garage. And yeah, Exotech makes some other good upgrades for the EB410 as well. I'm considering getting the center aluminum diff mount because the rear diff mount of the EB410 is plastic, and it would be nice to get a metal one there because there is a bit more play than you would like. So that's it for upgrades on it right now, although I do have this stack of upgrades of, here's the carbon fiber shock towers, some other optional parts, front sway bar, the harder hinge pins, a extra spur gear, just some service parts as well as some upgrade parts for later on. I'm going to run it like this for now, and then the next upgrade that I will do will be track tuning as well as the aluminum shock caps and the MIP shock spacers. One other thing I want to mention about the battery situation is for the actual tie downs, I have the optional carbon fiber piece. I do not like it because of how that it has to tie in. It has to tie into this plastic mount, which is where your servo sits, and it's really hard to get in there. And usually on the track you're tight for time, and this is one of the things you do not want to be fiddling around with. You want it to be nice and easy. The stock part has a little hook on the end, so it is much easier to install. You just tip it up, it hooks in, and as well as it has this captured hole for when you put on your nut. I like the stock piece better, and it has this cutout to manage wires. So I don't recommend getting the carbon fiber battery strap unless you really want that extra rigidity. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's needed for this part at all. I would have rather got the carbon fiber front brace, which I do not have. Out of all the carbon bits that I have, that's the one that I didn't buy because it wasn't available, but I kind of want it now. Anyway, you don't need that. On the bottom, since whoops, some battery fell out. Now that's vibrant, right? You need that on an EB410, sadly, because the chassis looks like that's the front. And so a Marshall always wants to flip it over with this facing forward, and that's incorrect on this car. So what this is this is red electrical tape, simple but effective, super vibrant, really like how it came out, covered with a J-Concepts chassis protector. That's a clear J-Concepts chassis protector. That's just a stick-on. It's like a thin but really hard plastic material that saves your chassis from getting all scratched up, and it also makes sure that none of your screws can fall out as well. So I do like running that, and I like how that arrow came out a lot. So that is an almost free thing that you can do that really helps you when on a racetrack. So yeah, that's where we're at, and now it's time to get it on the track and see what it performs like. One note about the wheels and tires, you do not get any, so let me talk about that for a second. No, almost no kits come with rubber, but this one particularly does not even come with rims. Thankfully, my old rims work. These are rims off of my Schumacher Buggy. I was running a K1 Aero last year, and so these wheels do seem to work. It uses the same hex. I think it's a 10 mil, 10 or 12, I can't remember. It uses the same type of hex design. And the wheel hexes on the EB410 are a weight-saving design, but it is a normal traditional hex, as well as interesting, the wheel nuts. Look at these wheel nuts. These are fancy wheel nuts, man. Super duper light, also have that scalloped look to them. It's funny for how beefy the EB410 is. They went for weight savings on, I guess, the unsprung weight, like a wheel nut. That seems like unnecessary to me. I'm almost be afraid of these stripping out. Notice they also do not have a nylock on them. I don't know if I'm actually going to run these or not. They kind of sketch me out a little bit. I don't like how thin they are, but I did want to show you that the wheels do fit, but there might be an issue with the front offset. So those are my rear wheels. Those will bolt on just fine. For the front, I haven't got out the measuring tape here straight edge yet, but I think the front is sitting a little bit too wide. It's a millimeter wider on the front, but I'm not sure. I'll have to ask the guys at the track tonight if there's a better way for me to do that, if I should shallow that in or not. But I will be running it like this tonight. It does work. It just might not be the proper track width for the front. It just seems like it's a little bit, I mean, it all depends on your perspective, right? But it seems like it's a little bit too wide. Wheels on, ready to rock, looking good. I've got some camber adjustments to deal with. Looks like I've got quite the camber going on there. Anyway, I got to tilt that guy out. Something I forgot to mention was about cooling. I am running an ESC fan, but right now there is no fan on the motor. The kit does come with a part where you can hang a fan on the side, but in order to do that, you're supposed to cut out the side of your body, which I don't like the idea of, to give it better airflow. So this carbon fiber optional brace also includes a spot for a fan. Now, I was not intending to run a fan right away, but I've realized that now after the fact it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So this is a wild turbo fan, and it would go on top, just something like that. but you do require hardware, so it needs screws and nuts, because this is just plain carbon fiber, so it needs screws and nuts, or you have to find a way to fasten this down on here, which is not necessarily a problem. For me, the biggest problem is actually wiring it up. So I'm so tight for space, I didn't think about how I would be able to get this in after the fact. If you're gonna add a fan, do it before you get all this stuff done, because adding in electronics now after the fact is a bit of a nightmare. I do not want to have to take this out. There's no way that I can get to the plugs to plug in any kind of extra accessories like a fan or anything like that. So if you think you're gonna want some active cooling, do it first before you get all this stuff done. Since I'm not going to be running a fan, I went fairly conservative on the gearing. I went for an 18 tooth pinion with the stock 81 tooth spur, and that's on a 5.0 motor, which I've never had a motor that low of turns before, or what equates to that high of RPM. So I am going a bit more conservative on the gearing. Alright guys, so if that was helpful, hit that like button. If you know anyone who's interested in an EB410 or working on one, share this around. And if you're new around here, subscribe. Comments are always appreciated. Comments and likes really help the channel. It lets YouTube know that people like it and people are responding to it, and gets it shown to more people. So yeah, this is my EB410 and I will be racing it tonight. Really kind of down to the wire on this one, but I procrastinated on it all winter, and now of course now it's time for racing and I don't want to miss one. So we're gonna give it a go tonight, and yeah, it'll be the first run. I'll take another camera and get some footage of it.